Welcome back to Big Bold Moves, Abundant Life. I'm Lisa Marie Heinz, and today I'm so excited to introduce you to my dear friend, Lamika Weeks. Lamika is the founder of Hike Goddess, runs a thriving real estate business, shines in her corporate career, and leads Love at HC, which is a nonprofit that helps kids head back to school with confidence and pride. Her story is about courage, purpose, and making bold moves that inspire others to do the same.
We've all been there, feeling stuck in the grind.
Welcome back to Big Bold Moves, Abundant Life podcast with Lisa Marie Heinz. And today I am so excited to introduce you to somebody that has been near and dear to my heart for many years. And actually, it's almost 2 decades, which is crazy to think, 18 years to be exact. And Ika is a really dear friend that's from Texas, and we met, and we'll talk about our meeting story real soon. But we met and we just hit it off. I feel like I hit it off, and I feel like when we talk about certain people in our lives who have just impacted our lives so much, she is that girl for me. So I'm excited for you to meet her. She has many hats and she runs her own podcast, a clothing line, a thriving real estate business, corporate ventures, and a wonderful nonprofit. But what inspires me most about her, Lamika, is not just her success, but her heart, her resilience, and the way that she shows up for others. So today we'll be talking about big, bold moves and building businesses, navigating through financial challenges, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who light you up. So I want you to know that she's inspired me, and I'm excited for her to inspire you. So Lamika, let's get started by going back to the beginning and tell me a little bit about your story and how we met.
Thank you for that beautiful intro. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, even just the name of this podcast, Big Bold Moves, for me, that's how we met. I think it's a bold move to go up and start having a conversation with somebody. It's been big, bold moves since we've met. But like Lisa said, I'm Lamika Weeks. I wear many hats. I am trying to take off some of those hats. Lisa and I, we met in the airport. And I believe Lisa started the conversation. I was there with another girl that I knew, and we ended up sitting on the plane together. And I haven't talked to her probably since that day you and I met in the airport.
That is so funny. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's so awesome that our friendship has sustained all these years and we don't see each other that often, but so true. Like when you have those people in your life and you're like, that's my person. And we don't have to talk for a year, but we can pick up immediately from where we left off. And
Yeah,
I just know
absolutely.
our most recent visit was up here in Tampa. And I don't even know, was it like 4 hours, 5 hours? We both looked at
Yeah,
each other. We're like, wait a minute, how did the time go by so fast? So just,
absolutely. That time with you, every time with you is impactful. And this last time, it was just the perfect timing and everything that we talked about from then us having that conversation then to now, just the things that you shared with me has allowed me to be able to expand my business and to do a lot of things that I have been trying to figure out for years. So
hmm.
I am very appreciative of us being able to have that time together.
You mean that for me too. And I hang on every word. So it's a love fest right now. I always love to ask our guests, and one word that has been in my life for a long time is the word abundance. And that
Mhm.
word really targets people very differently. So tell me, what does abundance mean to you?
Abundance. Oh, abundance. It means just always seeing the glass half full versus half empty. There's always an opportunity. I was traveling this morning. I had been up very early in the morning and I left a message for one of my friends, and she was just like, "You have so much energy this morning." I'm like, that's not how the morning started. I had to make a shift in my mindset. And so when I think about how blessed I am and how lucky I am to have the life that I have, it's just full of abundance. And even when things aren't going the way I think they should go, I'm like, you have lived in abundance. So it's all going to work out. It's okay. Just think that there's always opportunity out there for us to be able to do what it is that we want to do. And no matter how many other people are doing it or what the situation looks like, the opportunity is always there for you to be able to make your way.
That's a great way of looking at it. You're absolutely right. Because as women, we're hard on ourselves. And we do. We look at other people, and if they're doing it, we might have some little chatter in the back of our mind that may not be fulfilling, but you're
Mhm.
right. You just have to say, this is an abundant day. What can you find
Absolutely.
in that day that's going to fill you up? So
Absolutely.
I am going to direct the conversation now to your dynamic portfolio. You've got the podcast, your clothing line, and I loved the clothing line as a tall girl who made clothing for tall girls. You spoke my language. You've got your real estate, your corporate interests, and of course, your nonprofit that you're so passionate about. And with all of those things going on, how do you personally describe your mission across all of those areas?
I guess it would be just, I don't know that it's necessarily my mission, but if it's something that I'm like, I have an interest in that and it's coming up consistently, to be able to take the time to see it come to fruition. That's one of my podcasts, the fruition factor, is being able to bring to life what I see in my head. But at the core, I think of all those things for the clothing line, for my nonprofit, it really is about building the confidence in others to see their ability. And that was something that was taught to me as a child, to have the confidence to do whatever it is that you want to do. And I think at the core of all of it, it's just about instilling the confidence that I have in myself in the others, such as being a tall woman. Obviously, a lot of times growing up, tall girls aren't confident. They're typically taller than the boys when they're going through grade school and high school. And so I was blessed to be in a family where everyone was tall. So I never knew anything other than to be confident in what I was. I don't even think I recognized that I was tall because everybody around me, for the most part, was tall. So just instilling confidence in tall girls and tall women to embrace that. And then even with my nonprofit, which is called Love for HC, is instilling the base of what we do is I do a back to school fun day. And while we do give out school supplies and that kind of thing, my flagship event is all about having the kids be excited and confident about going back to school. So we do games, we have an ice cream truck, we do haircuts, we give out school supplies in book bags, and we have different organizations out to be able to pour into the kids to give positive words. And so at the core of all of it, it's just about being confident and sharing a positive word with someone because you don't know what someone's going through. And even in my corporate endeavors, it's similar for that. For many years, I spent being a dental consultant. And a lot of times when I was teaching and coaching teams, it was all about, when you come in here, it's all about a smile. Well, I'm going to make sure you have everything you need when you come inside of this dental practice because the patients that are coming in, they're most likely afraid of coming to the dentist and all those things. So you want to greet them with a smile, and you don't know what kind of day that they're having. So I think the core of all of it is about having a positive attitude and being confident in whatever it is that you're doing.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I see a smile runs through everything that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I go back to it and I go back to my childhood, and obviously then it irritated me. But my mom would always come into my room at the beginning and she would just be so excited and so happy. And I'm like, lady, why are you so excited and happy this early in the morning? And that was a consistent theme. And then my dad cooked us breakfast, and that was greeted with a smile and it was greeted with confidence. And it was all about making sure you're prepared for the day. And was the same thing with my grandmothers and my aunts and my uncles. So I think the core of who I am, confidence has been instilled in me at a very young age.
So I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit because I imagine people may be listening today and they might be thinking, oh, what a blessing that is to have that type of an upbringing. And I know for me, with my networking that I do, I love meeting people. But on the flip side of that, when we get into a nonprofit and we do put our heart out there, and it's really a
Mm-hmm.
labor of love because
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits, they look to people like you and I to bring something to the table. I would look
Mm-hmm.
at the women that I work with, which are highly abusive situations with a lot of addiction, and they're in a position now that they can raise their children while they're in recovery. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at the director of this program and I said, I don't understand. I was brought up in a very different situation and I
Mm-hmm.
can't understand what these women are going through. How could
Mm-hmm.
I be of service if I can't relate? And she said to me, all you have to do is give them hope. And I thought, I could do that. So, with you having the same type of upbringing, with my
Mhm.
mom would rub our back and say, "Rise and shine, sunshine." We would be like out of our mind. Mom, what are you doing that for? And having that ability to just know that was an upbringing that I had, wouldn't it be
Mhm.
so nice? And isn't it so nice that we can share our love to those that might never experienced that? And they can quite potentially make it a generational
Mhm.
blessing where they can bless their children and show their children a different way. So you and I, we speak the same language, and I
We
love
do.
that. I love it.
Yeah.
So let me ask another question. And when it comes to big, bold moves, we're going to focus on business here for a moment.
Mhm.
What are some of the boldest business or even financial moves that you've made that you could see and look back and say, that really shifted everything for me?
Wow. There are a lot of them, but I'm going to start off with just saying hype goddess. Okay.
This episode of Big Bold Moves Abundant Life is brought to you by Fearlessly Debt Free. If you have debt, mortgage debt, car loans, any type of debt, credit cards, college loans, you are interested in knowing how you can pay that debt off into a third to a half of the time faster, or you would like to save a third or a half of the amount of money that you're spending on interest and fees, you can click the link below, get on my calendar. We can have a discovery call. It's a free analysis to show you exactly how much you can save. Fearlessly debt free, where we want you to live an abundant life.
Just going to start off saying that, followed by real estate. And I owned over 30 properties, but probably High Goddess. I have been wanting to, I have started, stop writing a book for so long. And then today it dawned on me that I'm better with audio than I am with writing. So I need to talk it out. And so one of the things that I was talking out was creating a clothing line is very capital intensive. I don't come from wealthy beginnings or anything. Now, I've never struggled, but I didn't come from a wealthy background or even a rich background. But creating High Goddess was a very capital intensive business. And if I had to do it now and knowing what I know, I probably would not have done it because it's a specialty product. There wasn't a plan laid out for me. It was something that I had to figure out along the way. I went to the local SBA where they have retired business people that help you and that kind of thing. I went to several of those, but because my business was such a niche business, no one really could help me. So I found myself going in circles. So that's probably one big bold move. And then obviously at one point, I owned more than 30 properties in Dallas, and I owned those, or I started that in around 2003. My parents had rental properties, my grandmother had rental properties. So I was familiar with having rental properties. And so my plan was to buy a home, live in it, sell that, make a profit, sell that home, make a profit, go to the next house, sell that home, do that. I'll let some people talk me into having rentals. Okay. I am not the person who knows how to fix anything. So there's someone that's going to have to help me. When you have 30 rental properties, it can become a lot. Okay. And so I own those homes between 2003 and 2009. And you and I know what happened in those years.
I
Okay.
was right there with you. I had 11. I don't
Exactly.
think we knew
So
that about each other
I
out of
don't
all
think,
these
yeah,
conversations.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a big bold move, and that big bold move, it changed the course. It definitely changed the course. But in going through that, when I took a break from doing anything in real estate and then decided to come back, but when I said when I was going to come back to real estate, I was going to do it in a very different way. And so I've done it in a different way. And I focus on manufactured homes or mobile homes. And people are like, why are you doing that? You know, that's known as trailer trash or those types of things, or that's less than living. But these homes are actually beautiful homes. And the way I rehab them, they are very nice. They're homes that I would live in. And it was a bold move for me to come back to real estate, but I came back to a quote unquote real estate from specifically for manufactured housing. So I've had a lot. Those are just a few of the big bold moves I've had.
Awesome. And part of that question I didn't get to is how it opened the door to abundance. And it seems like you and I both, you just can say that, yeah, we've done some things in our past and we really did hold on and we're okay. We're
Mhm.
kicking and screaming right now. And those mistakes, I don't know, some people might look at them as mistakes or taking on a little bit more than you can chew. have
Yeah.
turned into really great times of knowledge. You learned a
Hmm.
lot,
Hmm.
just opportunities to open new doors.
Yeah.
So it's all a good thing. We look at it like that. Many
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, they struggle with the money side of business. Are there any financial principles that you live by that have helped you to create stability?
Money principle number one is always understand how people get paid, because that will tell you what their motivation is. Okay. That's the lesson that I learned with the real estate. That's a major purchase. And so while everyone's rushing you to close and to do things, you need to move at your own pace, because at the end of the day, you're going to be responsible for that, and they will have made their commission and will have moved on. That, I guess, that's probably the biggest money thing. My dad always used to tell me, don't count it until it's in your hand. Okay. So I don't count it until it's in my hand. And I'm not a big spender on quote unquote material things, but when it comes to a business, okay, I will go all in and know where your end point is, know where you need to stop. And I'm talking to my own self at that point, because if it's an idea that I have, I will continue to spend and I will continue to spend. I'm always trying to figure out how to make it work, but I'm always aware of where I'm spending my money, because when I had those properties in 2009, I went from having this abundance of cash flow coming in to that cash flow draining. So I've always been aware of from that to make sure that I know what I can do and what I can't do, because I don't want to go back to where I was in those days. So just being aware of where you are and what you can do and having a cutoff point.
Got it. And now just give me a timeline. So you had real estate, 33 homes, you had your clothing line, or did they run simultaneously to each other?
No, that's another conversation I had with myself this morning. So the real estate was meant to fund Height Goddess. That's why I started doing real estate. Okay. It was like, okay, you can make money, because again, I was going to live in a home, sell that home, make a profit, move into another home, make a profit, that kind of thing. So the idea was that it would fund Height Goddess. So the real estate came first, then came Height Goddess, and now they somewhat run together. But real estate was first, and then I created Hike Goddess. So I had the idea. Obviously, I didn't know the name of the business at that time, or I didn't even know how I was going to do it. It went through various iterations of me figuring out what I was going to do, because initially with Hike Goddess, I thought I would sell into other tall clothing stores. But after doing further research, that wasn't going to be the thing. And it was like, you're going to have to manufacture your own clothing, and it's going to have to be your own brand, and you're going to have to distribute it. So the real estate came first, to answer your question.
Okay. Okay, good. And it sounds like there was creativity there, there was vision, and there were obviously the numbers that you were working with to try to balance everything. That takes a quick moving mind to keep it all straight.
It does. It does. It's very much.
So, since we're in a place to inspire others, and that's what I love to do with this podcast, we want to introduce you and what makes you tick. When it comes to being an entrepreneur, tell me one thing that usually comes up. And is it financing in a startup? What is the first thing an entrepreneur might be listening to and they have an idea? What would the first thing be that they should do?
I'm going to take my own advice here again. Before you spend a dime, do your research, have an idea of your numbers, and how quick will you get to profitability. And whatever that is, you got to know those things, because how quick you get to profitability will know what you need to do, and it will adjust. Don't spend so much time on a logo and business cards and your website and those types of things. Go direct to your customer first. See if there's a customer base out there first before you do anything. When I first started Height Goddess, Nursery Rack used to have the large shoe sale event. And I realized after going to these events, this is the most tall women I am able to see in one place. And so when I was there, I would just strike up a conversation with these ladies. I didn't have a name for it. I didn't have business cards. I literally had scraps of paper that I had torn up, and I had some pens. And I would say, hey, if this is what I'm going to be doing, I really don't have a name for it yet, but this is my idea. Would you mind giving me your email address? This was before people were willing to give you their email address. Okay. So make sure that there's a customer base out there before you go out and spend a lot of money on marketing things. So that's probably the biggest advice that I would give. And then from there, know how quickly you can get to profitability. You don't have to get there fast. I'm not saying it needs to be fast to get to profitability, but you need to know when you'll be able to get to profitability.
And so, with all the technology that we have today that maybe we didn't have back then,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be any issues at all. And for me, I love that I can put myself in my auto university and listen to all different things. And one
Mhm.
recently is the girl that developed Spanx. And that was her story. Like, you've got to do the market
Mhm.
research. And why are you demonstrating on a mannequin when they can't tell you how a product feels on their body? And looking at all different ways that we can, number one, find out what the market is,
Right.
push forward if we feel like our idea is something
Mhm.
that is warranted. And you
Absolutely.
just, like you said, you don't want to spend and spin your wheels doing things that aren't going to really make a difference if there's
Yeah.
no market out there.
There's no reason for you to go into debt and you don't have a way to pay that off. So just hold off on spending a lot of money. Do the bare bones until you can figure a lot of that out.
Awesome. So were there any financial hiccups that you went through along the way? How
Oh,
did you,
absolutely.
and how did you recover from them?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. There were a lot of financial hiccups along the way. Another note that I said to myself, the first CPA that I had, he was like, "You do realize you're bleeding money, right? This has become a hobby. This is not a business. You are bleeding money." And at that point, I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to make it work because I funded that business through pulling from my retirement and from my bonuses. That's how I funded Height Goddess in the beginning. And like I said, my thought is I'll do real estate and that'll help me fund Height Goddess. But actually, what happened is I came back to real estate, and that time when I came back the second time, that's what got me out of the debt that I had from building Height Goddess. So it eventually came back around and put me on the right track. And so now when I think of Height Goddess and before I create any products, I'm much more sensible with how I move forward in that because I did incur so much debt in creating that. And the vehicle that I thought was going to fund it, it didn't fund it then. I had to take a step back. I was just focused on Height Goddess and I came back to real estate, and real estate dug me out of that hole. And so now, once I got out of that hole, I said, okay, let's make sure we don't run that mistake again. And with the clothing line, while I started with jeans, I expanded too quickly or I tried to be everything for the tall woman, meaning I had jeans, I had dress pants, I had maxi dresses, I had blouses, I had jackets. And so I went too wide versus going deep. I should have just gone deeper with that one product and got really good at that one product and built that business to where that one product could sustain that. But I went too wide and then some series of things with marketing and I spent some marketing dollars and Google did an update, I think it was the Panda or Penguin update. And so I got some strikes against my website. And it was a major blow to the business when that happened. And so I had to spend a lot of money, well into the six figures, to get that website back on track because of some backlinks and things like that that I had used a marketing company to do for me. And that was a major blow to High Guys. And even to this day, I haven't recovered to what I was selling before that happened. And because at that point, I was not able to spend the money that I had to spend on getting the website corrected. I wasn't able to create new products and I wasn't able to do that. And that was a money lesson that I had to learn the hard way. But I'm thankful. I don't see it as a failure. I just see it as a success. I think the success is in the journey. Those are several of them that have happened.
Like you said, you're taking it to the attitude. This is a learning opportunity.
Mhm.
So let's shift over for a second to passion because clearly you're passionate. You can hear it in your voice, you can see it in your body language. And for those that are listening, maybe they have a passion too, but they feel scared. The S word, oh my gosh. They feel scared to take that maybe financial leap or that leap of faith to do something that is really fueling them. They love that. What encouragement would you give the scared entrepreneur?
I don't know if you can see it above me, but it says just push the button. Okay. Just push the button. It doesn't matter. It does matter that you're scared. So that is a real thing. So face the fact that you are scared, but you have to do it scared. If this is something that you know you want to do, then just push the button and just do it, because you don't want to live in, oh, I should have, I could have, I wish I could have, should have, that kind of a thing. And you really won't know until you do it. If I had spent all those years like, man, I was going to create a clothing line for tall women and I never did it, or, oh man, I wanted to build these houses and I never did it, I would always be living in regret. And so I'd rather be scared and do it than not do it and live in regret. Just push the button.
I love that. Awesome. Push the button.
Yeah.
Such a visual, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, what's the button that we see? That was
Oh yeah.
easy.
Oh yeah, that was easy.
That was
Exactly.
easy.
Exactly.
I don't know how well that company's doing these days. So what
Hey,
is
but
a
they still
challenge?
push the button though.
They still pushed the button. What's a challenge that almost stopped you from moving forward and pushing the button?
Ooh, after having the real estate and then going through that process, I took a break before I came back and did anything with real estate because the fear was there. It was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And even now with Height Goddess, I'm like, I've spent so much money on Height Goddess. Like, I could be living a completely different lifestyle had I not spent that money on Height Goddess. I think that gives me the hesitation. But then I think about, but if I don't do it, what is that? I don't want to be that I didn't do it. So once I realized that this is a better path and I've done my research and I'm going to do it different than I did it the last time. And I talked to some people. I think I wasn't feeling well probably about 2 weeks ago. And you and I had a call schedule and I was feeling horrible. I was like, man, I need to tell Lisa I can't take this call. But I was like, I always learn something when I talk to Lisa. So I'm going to take this call. Even though I'm laying in the bed and I am struggling, I am going to take this call with Lisa. And I got off that call and I was like, man, I'm glad I had that call with you, because I think I sent you the text message. It wasn't something in particular, but you gave me clarity in just having a conversation with you and just talking about what you were doing. And oh, what about this? And I thought, oh my God, I didn't even think about it that way. So a lot of times it's just continuing to have and that's the living in abundance situation is. And I always look at things like if there's a will, there's a way situation. And so that's how I operate. Having that conversation with you, it just pushed me through at a time where I thought, man, I don't know about this. I need to just pivot. I don't need to do this anymore. Just keep talking to people and surround yourself with people that feed you. I hope I answered that question.
You did. And I feel like there are times when there are people in an industry that are very closely related to what we're doing. And I'm not talking about you specifically, but in general, we feel like we put some people up on a pedestal sometimes. But I know from past experiences in my previous careers that those people would be so flattered if you would reach out to them to pick their
Mm-hmm.
brain and ask them some questions about what they do and why they do what they do. And I feel like there's so many nuggets in just having a brief conversation. My only suggestion in a case like that is that you would definitely want to prepare questions beforehand because, like you, like me, I don't want to waste anybody's time and I really want them to know that I value what they have to say. So, surrounding yourselves with people that you could just bounce things off. It may not be anything specific, but one little light bulb might go off just having a
Yeah.
conversation. And even in talking, it brings up other scenarios in your personal situation
Mm-hmm.
just from having that open dialogue. I often say that we are the average of the five people that we hang around with. And so you, Lamika, have been one of those five. You're in my top five that I look to and glean just experience from and just who you are as a person. But are there people in your life that you can say lift you up, that challenge you, that keep you moving towards your best self?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always curating that list. And so I also think that the same way is that the people that I'm around, that's what fuel me. Very much my sister, my cousin who's like my sister, one of my good friends, Jessica, she's always on my YouTube channel. And I was looking at my YouTube numbers. And I'm like, girl, every time you're on my channel, those are my best numbers. You got to come back on my channel. I've always been that way. My best friend, I learned from her. I'm always around people that feed me. And it's not even necessarily from a business perspective, but just from a life perspective of seeing how they do things and how they move and just learning. Absolutely. I like to call them my front row.
I love that.
So yeah, my front
Your
row.
front line.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to an entrepreneur about intentionally choosing the right people to have in your inner circle.
Absolutely. You have to curate them, and you have to curate them and you have to have whatever it is that you are looking for, be that yourself. Whatever you speak, utilizing your words. I'm always aware of the words that I use because I think the words have so much power. So be mindful of what you speak. Back in 2018, I was out in California doing some work. And I had said to myself, I was like, oh my God, Lord, what am I getting ready to do next? I have no idea what I'm getting ready to do next. But let me know what I'm supposed to do next because I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. Literally 5 minutes after I said that, my phone rings and it is a life changing phone call. And I'm like, oh my God. But not only that, I'm big into affirmations. So I had written all on the mirror in my hotel room. I had it all over the place. I have these reminders on my phone. I have reminders that go off every 2 hours that give me some sort of motivation or it tells me what my goal is or something like that. So I was always feeding myself positive words. I'm a vision board person. I've got my vision board on my phone. My vision board is hung up on my wall. It's on my iPad. It's everywhere for me to be able to visually see what it is that I said I wanted. So I'm very big on the power of your words and what you speak to yourself is very important because you that attracts back to you. So if you want to, that's what you want, then you have to speak positive of yourself first, and those people will be attracted to you.
It's no wonder I keep saying why we've been friends for so long. This is amazing. I love this. I love this so much. And you just reminded me, we did go over quite extensively about our vision boards last time we were together, and I've got to
Mhm.
get my act together and completely understand the power in the words, power in the vision, what you see every
Mhm.
morning when you wake up and what you see every night before you go to bed. 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning when you wake up, 5 things that
Mhm.
you're grateful for when you go to bed. It will change the trajectory of our future.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So good. And just for fun, is there one behind the scenes Lamika moment from your business that still makes you laugh?
Ooh, one behind the scenes. Let me come on. Oh man, there's probably a many of those. I'm always moving. At this moment, I'm always moving. I think one that comes to top of my mind is when I started Hike Goddess, I was traveling extensively. I still travel a lot for work now, but then I was traveling extensively. I would have at least 3 to 5 bags with me. One of them would be my personal bag, and the other would be my samples for Hike Goddess. And I would just be lugging that from place to place. And at that time, because I was traveling so much, I didn't have a home base. I had moved all of my things into a storage unit, and I would just go to that storage unit to change out my bags and my clothes. And I had the storage unit set up like my bedroom. So when I go in here, I know exactly what I came in here for. My dress was over there, that dress was over there. I would go in there and change out my suitcase, and then I would get back on the plane and go where I need to go. So that's a behind the scenes moment of trying to build my dream, knowing that I was traveling and I wasn't going to be home. So there was no need for me to have a home. So I moved out of that and put it all in a storage unit. And those were some good times.
I remember those days. You would tell me, I don't really have a home. I'm just, I'd be like, what? Make a
Exactly.
way, find a way. That's
Exactly. When
awesome.
there's a will, there's a way.
That's it. Let's go ahead and just give our listeners and our entrepreneurs 3 habits or practices that have been the biggest game changers for you and your growth and your success. What 3 things would you say would be a great pinpoint of what to do as an entrepreneur?
One, going back to what we just said, is surrounding yourself with the right people.
Okay.
That is definitely one of them. The other one would be positive self talk, something else that we just talked about. And the other one would be being aware of your money. Yeah, being aware. So it would be being aware of your money, being aware of your mindset, and surrounding yourself with the right people. Those would be my three. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure that we pinpoint those in the notes so people can make notes for themselves. So, what are some of the next big, bold moves that you have for your vision?
Ooh, right now I do have the nonprofit and I'm building that out. Like I said, right now I have one annual event. It takes me a full year to get that annual event together and knowing that I have all these other things. I'm working on that. My board, we are putting together how we want to expand that and offering other community events. So right now I'm working to understand what the community wants before we introduce anything else. So that's where I am with the nonprofit, and that's loveforhc.org for anybody that wants to check it out. And as far as High Goddess, I am working through what I'm going to do with High Goddess. I have a upcoming event in October where it's going to be a live shopping event with other fellow tall brands. I love supporting other tall women. I love supporting women in general, supporting their businesses. So towards the end of October, another tall brand is going to be putting on a live shopping event specifically for tall girls and tall women, and I will be a part of that. That's probably that. This will be the first time that I've done something with High Goddess in quite a long time. I am very nervous. I am very nervous about that. So I'll be doing that at the end of October. And then with my real estate business, still doing that. I'm a licensed manufactured home broker, and I'm buying and selling manufactured homes primarily in Texas and Alabama is primarily where I do, but I help people all over, and just building out what that looks like, whether that's buying a mobile home park or just buying individual homes. I'm still figuring it out in that area. But yeah, but consistently, all those things, managing all those things.
Mover and a shaker. And also,
Yeah.
too, we'll give more details. Anybody listening who wants to get involved with the organization or even tall women, there's a lot of us out there and we could
Hmm.
really benefit from what you have to offer. So we'll make sure that we have lots of direction so people can find you. And
Cool.
finally, if you could leave our audience with one piece of encouragement about blending business wisdom with fearless living, what would that be?
One piece of encouragement is what you focus on is what grows. So whatever you focus on, that will grow. That goes back to the positive mindset, surrounding yourself with the right people, because whatever your mind thinks, that's what it is.
I just want to thank you, Lamika, for being with us today. So much, so much. And we've been talking about this for a little while, but your story, your wisdom, and your joy are such a gift. And my heart has such a special place in it for you. And I want you to know that my goal is always to make you shine or make a guest shine. And it was easy to do that because you just shine. You could just see it pouring out of every pore of your body.
Thank
But definitely want to lift you a little higher and encourage you today, but also to our listeners that they can reach out to you if they have any questions. And I know you're the person that you have a question, you ask Lamika, she'll get right back to you, and she wants to pour into everybody. So
you.
take advantage of that. So from Big Bold Moves, Abundant Life, to all of you out there, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Lamika, for being here. And I
Thank
know that
you.
we'll talk real soon.
We've all been there, feeling stuck in the grind, chasing that freedom we're aching to find. But what if the answer was clearer than you knew? With numbers and strategy, we'll walk you through. No more shame, no fear inside.
What an amazing conversation with Lamika. From her Hike Goddess brand to her real estate and corporate success, and of course, all the incredible work that she's doing through Love at HC to build confidence in kids, she is a true example of what bold, purpose-driven life looks like. You can contact Lamika at the information in the show notes. And remember, here at Big Bold Moves Abundant Life, every bold step that you take brings you closer to the freedom and abundance that you are meant to live.